waited till the last one.
But this is the 5-hour meeting, so
But I don't know.
This is the long one, you guys.
So we got.
Yeah. Okay. We're striving.
We are striving. I can switch my hands.
Okay.
So Ron, you can go ahead and call them.
All right, we'll call, this is the December meeting for the Arlington Board of Education. It's our regular meeting. It's being held in compliance with the Nebraska Open Meetings Act, a copy of which is posted near the back of the room. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 7:04, please, and take roll.
Jason.
Here.
Cassie Clark. Here. Chase Crutchell.
Here.
Brian Locker. Matt O'Daniel.
Here.
Shannon Moore.
All right, very good. We have a quorum. First item is I will make a motion to excuse Brian Lockett's absence this evening.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Let's vote, please.
Sorry, just a second.
Right,
It's not on here, so I have to.
Right,
Get
okay.
it added in here. Alrighty, Matt O'Daniel.
Yes.
Shannon Moore. Jason Art.
Yes.
Cassie Plessner.
Yes.
Chase Crutchell.
Yes.
All right, and then we'll say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on our agenda tonight, as always, is the approval of our regular meeting agenda this evening. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Chase and Jason. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Let's vote, please.
Sorry, I gotta get to the right thing.
All right.
A little quick for me tonight.
Sorry.
Let's see.
Feels like we've already been in here for an hour.
I know. Chase and Jason. All right. Shannon Moore.
yes.
Jason Art.
Yes.
Cassie Plessner.
Yes.
Chase Crutchell.
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel.
Yes. Very good. Motion carries. Item 2 on our agenda is welcome to guest and public forum. Is there anybody in the audience tonight that wishes to speak to the board? If so, now is the time. Okay. All right. Seeing none, we'll move on into the consent agenda, where we have the minutes of the previous board meeting and of course the financial reports like we do every month. Dr. Lewis, is there anything you want to touch on in here? I know I've been through the financial reports a little bit with you earlier.
Yeah, and I think we called attention to, we just got finished talking in the finance workshop about the audit. And so that was, the actual cost of the audit is included in there. I'm just having a cold one thing. I knew what I was talking about. I just wasn't paying attention to what I was looking at. So the cost of the audit was not, like I said, not inconsistent with what it was, but it was 28,000. So I wanted to draw attention to that. Just make sure we were all aware of that. Again, it was kind of received in 2 separate billings last year, 1 billing this year. Within the budget, we put $25,000 in to pay for that, so the rest of that will come out of other areas, either the superintendent's office or the board or legal or something like that. We won't change the code of those, we'll just overspend in this, and we typically underspend in a couple of those. So I'm not really worried where that extra $3,000 or $3,500 is going to come from, just so you're aware, we budgeted $25,000 for the audit and it's coming in over.
Okay.
So. And that, other than that, our payments are going out, our bond and our QC path go out in December, so you see those on there as well. And
Okay.
those, they have to receive those by at least 5 days before the actual due date, otherwise they're overdue. So they went out already, and we're on a payment schedule with those, so we know that they're going. It's just that they went out at the handful because even though today is before the due date, they
Might not be.
counted them late already.
Okay.
I think even if we drove to them and handed them, they would still come.
They still, yeah.
And we decided to do paper checks this time instead of the wire transfer, because honestly, it's easier in the finance system if you write a check. It automatically goes to the right place and posts this rather than having, when you do a wire transfer, it doesn't automatically post to the
Yeah.
finance system. So,
Fair enough?
any other questions about financials?
No? Okay.
Oh, I had one, sorry. There
Too
was,
late.
no, it was not.
There's no motion.
On the very last page, the general fund categorized whatever, one of the high school transportation maintenance has like a bunch of stars after it.
So I put that on there because that is typically where we used to pull the fuel from.
Okay.
It is set up in the budget under a different, so that's why it looks like we've spent that much amount. The actual amount was budgeted into a different code, so I just need to put that in a different code. But I put the stars there because I wanted to just let you know that if you're saying, have we really spent that much? Well, we have, because the fuel and the gas is actually in a different. It used to be in the transportation and maintenance, it is not there anymore.
Things have moved around a little
Yes.
bit. Okay.
No other questions? Okay, Dr. Lewis?
And I think we've got, I mean, we have a new on there, we'll have a resignation and a hire, so.
Okay.
Other than that, nothing else that we think we need to talk about in the consent agenda.
All right. I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I will say,
Thank you, Cassie. Is there any more discussion?
No, I was just gonna say, I know we talked about it a couple days ago, but with Mrs. Washburn resigning, I will say, when I was in elementary, she was my speech teacher. Phenomenal, what she does. I think really highlights the quality of teachers and people we have up here. So I'm sad to see her go.
Thanks, Jason. Nice.
Yeah, she's done great things for her kids.
Okay, we have a motion out. Let's vote, please.
Jason Oak,
Yes.
Cassie Pleasant,
yes.
Chase Cradaville,
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel.
Yes.
Shannon Moore.
All right, very good. Motion carries. We've got Tasha Wolf with us tonight. She's, I think, going to share some of the wonderful testing data that we got back with us.
Which one would you like me to pull up first?
Just want to go off of some of the things that we do, and just the report on.
Sure.
We'll go into that stuff.
Okay. Yeah, so go ahead, Robert. Okay, the floor is yours.
So a couple things just to highlight out of my day, my realm, things that I do. Professional development continues to evolve here and the different things that we're offering to our teachers. We continue to work off of that 4-point system. We usually do a lot of that work during our in-service days. We pulled different teachers we kind of try to figure out a theme for this year. And we worked a lot on just mental health and how to work with that in the classroom. We also did a little bit of work with building relationships with kids and just having those stronger relationships among staff members as well. So we have breakout sessions during the in-service that kind of highlight those things, just giving our teachers a little bit more tools for their kids. Those are about 30 minutes and they sign up via like a Google Doc. And they were really awesome in October. We had 3 different presenters. Our SPED department just presented on just logos of what the SPED department sees so that teachers know what the little acronyms are. There's so many different ones out there that it was kind of just a good opportunity to learn what all of them were. We had one that was just trauma-informed classrooms because we are seeing more and more kids that have trauma within their life here. That was really powerful and we learned a lot about our presenter during that one. And then we also had a really good one that was just really that social emotional piece and how to work with kids who are struggling socially and emotionally throughout their day. And that was done by Sarah Eads Hamilton. So it's nice to have her involved with that too. We will open it back up to some teachers in January. Mr. Hallstrom's already kind of reached out wanting to do another kind of voice style model for behavior, which has always been awesome. Our teachers just love that. So we're looking for just a couple more presenters to open that up too. But it's awesome to have so many knowledgeable teachers in our staff that are, not only trained in their subject area, but trained beyond in different things that as a society we're struggling with currently. So we've been really trying to focus on that social emotional piece. That's our theme for this year. And just building positive relationships with our kids and our staff members and our parents. Team meetings continue in the elementary. Jackie and I meet with each grade level once a week. We have conversations really centered around kids, the MTSS process, the different things that are going on. Curriculum is a big push here as we go into testing season, the data and looking at the data and just trying to pinpoint what kids are struggling with and what kids are struggling will be the topic of conversation as we move into January. Each week it's a little different, but the majority of our conversations just center around kids and how we can help and be effective with kids. Mrs. Fetty comes in once a month to talk. The school psychologist comes in once a month with us and we have conversations with her centered around like who's getting tested, who needs to be part of the SAT process, and looking into our curriculum, which is math adoption. Those have been awesome. I feel like we've made a lot of ground and we know our kids better than ever because we're talking about them more than ever too. Curriculum, we are in the implementation phase of business, ag, and industrial tech. Things seem to be going great. The teachers are really self-sufficient. They've been working hard on a plan and mapping out just their different standards and where they're at there. We're in the adoption process of math, which has been going super awesome. I feel like the teachers are super open and they want to communicate a lot with how they're feeling, what's been working, what's not. I think that our math scores will say the curriculum we have is working, why change it? And so I think that that's a big topic of conversation currently. We piloted Reveal, which is different than what we have currently. We have Envisions, K-6, and then 7 through 12 is Big Ideas by Cengage. I think in conversations that we've had, that's probably how we're gonna stick going into this next curriculum cycle. Envisions has kind of upped the ante and has a lot more hands-on, different teaching styles, different approaches, different presentations that the teachers can use. We had a lady come in and kind of sell the product to us, and she did amazing, and the teachers loved it. So that was really great. They tried Reveal. It's always hard to pilot when you're not given everything that you would need to pilot. McGraw-Hill was not the most generous company to work with, and so they made it not very cost effective for us to be able to pilot. K-12, we did the best that we could. I don't think that our kids missed a beat, honestly, in those 8 to 9 weeks of teaching, but the teachers just didn't have a great feel for what they needed. So I think that they're more than likely, we will stick with where we're at and just take a newer version of all those things. We will meet again at the in-service day to make our final decisions with the curriculum committee, with the math adoption committee, which is comprised of one teacher from each grade level, and then all of the high school math department. And we'll just kind of really hash out thoughts, feelings, questions we still have. Savis is your Envisions vendor, and he is amazing. He checks in once a week just to see where we're at, what we're feeling. Is there any questions that we have? And the teachers have really been able to get a lot of their questions answered there. So we will hopefully have a decision ready for the board by February, and then we can get that kind of stuff ordered and get some training in here and get flying. But I'm really excited about what Envisions has to offer, and I think that we won't miss a beat in our math curriculum if anything, we can see it go up. And then we're gonna start the research in January for science, because it seemed like science should already be something that we're looking at again. I feel like it was just a while, just a couple of years ago, but it's been a while now. So we'll start that research and development, getting in some different samples for our teachers to look at.
Is it science or social studies?
think it's science.
I think it's social studies.
Okay, maybe it's social studies.
Because I know social studies came like right when I was here and we did science after I started, so it should be social studies.
Okay.
But you and I can look that up.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. We haven't ordered anything yet. Until January. And then the biggest part is the testing. We are hot into winter testing currently. Doing first grade through ninth grade maps and kindergarten through eighth grade fast bridge. And ninth grade will not test until after Christmas break. We didn't want to overload them with finals because we have finals and then testing. That's a lot for kiddos who are just getting into high school. So we are going to wait to test them when we get back and see how that rolls. We tried something different last year where we tested everybody after Christmas. There were mixed feelings on that and how that ran. So we're gonna try it different. We kind of left it up to the teachers. If they wanted to test after Christmas, they could test after Christmas. If they wanted to test before, they could test before. Elementary chose, almost every teacher chose, let's get it all done even before Christmas break. So they're super excited with the results that are coming in so far. We're seeing some really good growth. And then our ninth grade will test in January. And we'll have those discussions of data when we come back in January also. Do some more digging into that. So that kind of brings us to where we're at from NSCA's last year. Did an awesome job. You're going to notice that everybody in the state went up about 10 percentile points, whether it be in math or reading. I would say that our reading is higher than it's ever been currently. The district ELA, that is the wrong number. It's supposed to be 71, so I apologize. I was going over that today and it's supposed to be 71, so I was trying to make that change. But still, very high, higher than we've ever been. I think that our curriculums that we have currently in place, the teachers have taken a whole lot of pride in making sure that we're matching up with standards. We're making sure the kids are getting what they're supposed to get and we're not missing anything. We had a lot of just alignment days where we put a lot of time and work into our plan.
So I pulled up, I pulled up our comparison, if you wanna look there, the second page, if you're looking at it online,
Year
has
over
the year to year.
Yeah.
It's missing COVID year there too, because they didn't do any reporting on that year, but anyway, you can see how accurate she is in that statement. It's higher than we've ever been. If you start in this column here and work your way that, and this is grade level by grade level, a lot higher than we have been, so that's great.
To me, it's the most exciting in math because usually when you have a curriculum for so long, you kind of see that plateau after year 5, and then we go down for the next couple of years before we pull it back up when we get a new curriculum because the standards are just that much more rigorous and we're getting more than we ever have, but math never dropped a beat with what we have currently. Our teachers have done a really good job of making sure they understand their standards really well and are manipulating the curriculum around their craft rather than just going off of straight curriculum, which is really good to see too. The numbers are awesome. We're really pleased. And
So this is what you wanna look at here across the top row, where's my cursor? So the 76 is where our ELA, I'm sorry, 71 is where ELA
Yep.
came in. 83, and that's an accurate number, is where our math came in, and then science, we came in at 84%, so it's pretty great. Those are all 3 higher than previous years, so. And we like to compare ourselves. So these are the identified schools that are in our board goals that we pulled out, that we do on the spreadsheet to share with you. Tasha, what more do you want?
there might be a couple added extra just because they were maybe conference schools. So
Yeah.
we just kept them as part of that as well.
One thing that we probably need to focus some time and attention on, and again, this is the ACT for the 11th graders, which would be like this year's seniors, but those kids sometimes take that test 2 or 3 times. The only score that they record for us is the one that they take on testing day here for us for this. So this does not reflect the kids that took it in December and got a good score and knew they were gonna take it again in June, and maybe they were sick or they were gone because there were all kinds of track meets and things like that. They weren't mentally prepared for a test that day or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of things that can go into this, but just know that ACT is not an all-encompassing. They don't take ones, they don't look at the 4 scores that like Stella got and then look at the super score and pull it in like that. They just take the one administration on that one day. So that's what that ACT was. So those were probably our greatest area of room for growth in the future there. And we'll take a good hard look at that. But
I think you might also note that that particular class, their scores kind of trended a little bit lower than most throughout.
Their career.
Yeah, throughout their career. And that's why I think we see most of our kids taking advantage of that school to work opportunity
Yeah.
that we have, because that's
Because their
kind of
careers, I
the,
mean,
yeah,
this
that's
is
the path that they're planning to take.
because we know the ACT is measuring that for your college readiness.
Yeah.
It's not a measure of their ability to go to a technical school and study just the trade that they want to go in, or to be
Yeah.
a valuable employee that's learning something on the job or through an apprenticeship or something like that as well. But, and you run into that when you have a smaller district like this, and then you have a smaller class. Some years just go like that. Yeah.
And then it kind of breaks it down into each grade level then. You can see how we fared each grade level. I tried to put it in order of where you see us in scores compared to the other areas. It's super cool to see 6th grade has 90% proficiency in math. That was great.
Yeah, there's lots of pages on here, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna scroll through quickly. Grade 4.
It looks like grade 5 is a little bit lower and grade 7 is as well. Is there any concern for
You're
that?
gonna see a lot of kids who are identified in grade 5. So our SPED numbers are a little bit, our SPED population's higher in that grade level, so our scores are gonna reflect that a little bit.
I feel like standards might shift there just a little bit too, because that's not inconsistent with previous years. Like they're strong, and then all of a sudden they'll take a little dip. And that kind of naturally happens. at
We see that a
age
lot
group.
in 5th grade. Usually the
Yeah.
5th and 6th have trended that way for years, and this year it's a little bit different. They're not trending as much like that.
Yeah.
And then we see a little bit of a dip in 7th grade, but that trend is not this year either.
But sometimes that's in
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that 90% in math actually is talking about.
So I think, fair to say everybody's pretty excited about these numbers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, as we should be. I mean, gosh, you look at these numbers and I'm thinking, I don't really even know what to ask. But, and I think you touched on it a little bit, what do you think's most responsible for our success that we're beginning, and it's beginning to accelerate a little bit over the last couple of years?
I think it's like, my personal opinion is the in-tuneness that we are with our state standards and what our state is asking our kids to know when they're reading each grade level, and then being able to build on that. I think we also have amazing staff members who are willing to work at things, ask a lot of good questions, reach out. And our kids are willing to work hard too. We put a lot of different things in place to goal set, to try to get them a little bit more active in their learning, and I think that has worked. As we started last year.
Yeah.
They can know, based on the data that we get coming in from maps and different things like that, they can kind of give a more targeted area of what each kid needs to be more successful, which has helped out a lot, because the teachers are saying like, Bobby can't add. Well, we gotta teach him that, so we're more structured towards what the kid needs.
Okay.
Instead of as a whole, teaching him as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
so it's more individualized.
Teacher to student ratio, I think,
Oh my gosh,
is
yes,
a huge, yeah,
very much so.
because that allows us to do, like you're saying, teach to the individual, not to the broader classroom.
And I think that in the reading realm, being able to kind of break up our curriculum for what the grade levels need. With super kids, it It wasn't like status. It was very different. It focused a lot on the phonics and the phonemic awareness that our kids needed to be able to start reading. And because of that program and having that foundation before they even go into reading and the comprehension and all of the word attack stuff, they are way more successful than they were before. And we're really attributing that to our curriculum, but also using FastBridge and really implementing interventions early with kids where we didn't have that before.
Mhm.
And those interventions then turn into progress monitoring where we're getting more and more data on our kids each and every day. It's not just,
So you can measure,
Yes.
modify, measure, modify.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And try to figure out, do I need to intensify that or do I need to try a different intervention?
Mhm.
There's a lot of different steps in place, which have been super beneficial for our kids, I think.
Clearly, yeah, sounds like it. So. Anyone else?
It's like a number of geeks, like heaven.
Yeah.
I know it's like other people's nightmare, so. People who don't like the numbers.
Well, and you want to celebrate that with the kids.
Sure.
You want to be able to tell them how great they
Yes.
did and how proud we are of them. And so. it's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for staying here tonight. I know
Yeah.
you have a lot on your plate right now.
Okay.
Appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Good night, everyone.
You can hang around if you'd like.
You know, I think I might go home and eat a meal with you.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, there's some food in my office yet, so if you want to, you're ready.
There's a lot of words there.
It's fine.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Swing by 20.
Mhm.
I hope. Thank you.
Okay, item 5 is review of our annual district goals. This comes up to us again. I'm going to hand the floor to you, Dr. Lewis. You can tell us about the updates.
Yeah, so everything that we've added since the last time we reviewed in August. Should be, it's September.
Yeah.
It's September. I'm sorry, it's right on there. I could have read it instead of trying to pull it out of my brain. So everything that is in green is what we've added in up to that. So the goal area budget, one of the significant things that we did was we voted to take, to be able to access up to the additional 6%, even though we didn't take all of that. That's to protect our growth base for future years. I'm just gonna kind of breeze through these. In the area of community engagement, we're already working on planning that next meeting that we'll have at the end of January, and that's an action item kind of actually later that we'll talk about in some unfinished business. So kind of going a different direction with that, but in our goal area of facilities, lots of little things that have been taken care of, but also we rebuilt the gate back by the playground. Buildings and Grounds is working hard to start talking about like the HVAC, the oldest 3 HVAC units that need replaced. And we've added a weekly facilities update to our administrative team meetings. So Mr. Reed's coming in every week. We've missed a couple of weeks having meetings just because it gets kind of busy this time of year, but he's been coming in most of the year and giving us updates on what is going on with everything that's going on in the building.
Yeah.
The maintenance requests and things that he's got doing, what he's been working on and what he's doing. In the area of student performance, I mean, you just looked at some of our great data, but some things that we've done that you've taken action on in the past couple of months, we've added that Jobs for America's Graduates. That will begin the 24-25 school year, so that's JAG. We're excited about that. And then through our conversations with Metro, when it comes to course offerings, they come out every year. And if you remember, maybe it was a month or two ago, Aaron reported on the meeting that I had with them and how many students were taking dual credit offerings. And through that conversation, they told us that there's this different math program that they will run or can offer to our kids. It's not like taking college algebra as a dual credit when you're a senior. We're still doing that, but this is a different one. They call it their modular math credit. And it's more geared towards like the last part of it can be dual credit, but it's really for the ones maybe who are going to a vocational school, and it like fast tracks it, makes sure that they had the foundation, like an algebra 1, algebra 2, move on to what they need to for the next thing. So maybe some real business practical application mathematics and things like that to prepare those students for the next step. It might take, it could be a year-long course. For the kids, it doesn't, only the last part of it needs to be supervised by a dual credit teacher. The rest of it can be any teacher, just like the other offerings that they have, because it's, the professor is at, or the teacher of record is a Metro teacher that takes them through that, and the modules are all built for them, so they're self-paced. And so if students know enough to pass the test in the first module and they can move on to the next one, they can go
I see.
ahead and do that, and they can move through it really quickly. But if they're lacking some foundational skills, it will help them get caught up. So we're really
Yeah.
excited about that, and maybe Aaron will talk about that if he gets here. I might call in him. I know he was supervisor on site for
Yeah, no problem.
the reserve game, so I might ask him to dive in if he gets here in time and talk about that a little bit. We're kind of excited for that for next year.
Is that more competency based kind of learning then?
It is, it's more competency based until you get to like, they can, once they get to a certain point, they can either go this way or they can go this way. One is more, I'm going to Metro and I'm going to, this is my next step. Basically, it keeps them out, like if they're maybe, let's say you've got a kid, who, I'm gonna use my son for an example. He took his 3 years of math in high school, freshman, junior, senior year. And he didn't want to take a senior level math class, like which was trigonometry or something like that, because he didn't see the need for that in his future, and he'd satisfied those 3 requirements that he needed already. But, so this would have helped him keep math skills fresh and still get credit for that and prepare him for college algebra when he got there. So it can be a mechanism for that, or it can knock out the first year of what they would take at Metro or a community college if they were going there. But if it's also a student who struggles a little bit, and you can keep them in that math class, and it will keep them like having the need to take the remediated math class that they have to take to have the skills to take the credit class, so it can save some tuition that way. So it's a good deal. I mean, and like instantly we thought this would be really great for X, Y, and Z. You know, we've got kids in across all of those spectrums, you know, so we're excited to see how that could work out. And then in the goal of behavioral and mental health, Holly spent some time gathering information from other schools about how to either increase or how you can move your LMHP, which is your licensed mental health professional, because we're at the end of a grant cycle with the current council that we have that's coming from EOSU 3. She's only here 2 days a week right now. And we're curious about if that grant runs out, or if we wanted to add our own, what it might look like to, this is my thought, and I asked Holly to ask everyone, if anybody does this, to have a practitioner in your school that's basically, usually it's an office space, but running their own practice. So would do their own insurance billing and things like that. And they basically would just come to your school and practice their practice for the students that they have lined up, where the school is kind of out of the loop on that. And there are a couple of schools that are doing it. So I'm curious to see if that's something that we could add. Basically just provide them office space to run their practice if they have clients in the building. Because right now, the ones that they see are we pay for our family,
Right.
or it's the grant funded through ESU 3. It's separate. It's just a little bit different from what a true, like just normal counselor, like we schedule to see a counselor and they have a 45-minute session and then they're going to go on. We're just curious to see if that's something that would be feasible. And the responses, I mean, like there's not a lot that are doing it, but there are some that are doing it, and said, here's how we do it, and here's our model, and so pushed us some information. So based on what it looks like at the end of that grant cycle, we'll see if that's something that might possibly work.
Good stuff. Yeah, lots of good items added in there. We've got the principal's reports here. They're not here right now. I think we've got quite a bit in front of us. I would just go through those. If you have any questions, reach out to Jackie, James, or Aaron. Maybe we'll get Aaron here.
Yeah, if he's able to
Later
make
on.
it.
Okay. So that's going to take us down into our superintendent's reports. Dr. Lewis, I'll hand it back to you. I know there's a couple items on here.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay, I didn't put a lot of information behind the registration with the Equalis group, but what that is, it was basically sign up service for free, and if you have projects that you would like to bid but aren't subject, I think, to that over $109,000, but you want 3 bids, And maybe I think they could still be, we can still advertise, for the, over the 109,000, which is the statutory limit. They have, it's not the right word, but like a clearinghouse or a group. So they've vetted vendors and things like that, and they've met their requirements to be able to bid jobs. And so we can talk to them, and it's just, it's a no fee registration for us, where we just say, hey, we are looking at replacing carpets in 3 classrooms. They show us the list of vendors and we can pick and choose, or we can just say, what are your 3, lowest bids on
Mhm.
X amount, or like, what is it per room per carpet, or per square foot, or if you have, I don't know, like some concrete that you need done or something like that, or whatever, I don't know, concrete's in there, but, so it's just helps us because we call and try and get people to come in and give us bids, and it's really hard to get them here. So with this group, they assist with that process, so.
Does that group use local or like people in our area?
Yeah, yep, there's a lot of vendors in our area that we would use too, and they said we can still pull in our own, if there's somebody that is not on the list, we can
still
ask
request
them
it.
and
That was my
do it.
question.
Sure.
If
Yeah.
there's a vendor we've used in the past that's
Yeah.
not eligible for
Yeah.
whatever reason under their process.
We can still, they don't say if you use us, you have to use one of our vendors.
Got it.
Just
So it's a
help us.
resource, really.
Yeah, it's a
is what it
resource,
is.
yeah.
And it's free?
Yeah, it's free.
Is it like free for X amount of times? Or is it like,
No, it's free, it's just free,
Huh.
and they just take care of it for us.
like Angie's
Angie's
List or
List,
something
yeah.
like
It's,
that?
it's a
Yeah.
little bit like that, yeah.
Okay.
I've never used Angie's List, but
Yeah.
I've heard.
So is it just for like businesses,
I
like
think it's
schools
for-
and larger corporations that are a bigger scope of
I
project?
think it's for, I believe, Lawrence was talking about maybe hospital was like using them, and some other different organizations too, so. I mean, they're set up for, organizations like us, Simone, to be able to do that, who need, or like under some requirements to get bids themselves. Like we are just struggling to get people to come in and give us bids to do one, so. And they do a lot of different areas too, so. I think it will be, so for example, the elementary hot water heater went out last week. And I said, hey, try it out. And Lawrence already knew, like, this is what I need to do, and here's who we use for hot water heaters. And he did. He was able to get us like 3 off of that. And the one that he wanted to use was the lowest one anyway. The one that we always use was. But he could see that one came in this, one came in similar, and one came in like $4,000 higher. And so, it was like, he just said, hey, hot water heaters. I need X amount of gallons, 199 gallons, because if you need 200, then you have to have a boiler rated or something like that. I'm not sure. He's got all of those things worked out in his head. So anyway, he told him exactly what he needed, and he had 3 bids within like a couple of hours. So that's awesome. It was
Cool.
like, yeah, anyway.
Okay.
So just so you're aware, it's a service that, I just went through the registration form to try it, so.
Good.
Your NASB and nursery reports are attached in there. My leave log is attached. I haven't taken any vacation days yet, but there were a couple of meetings. Most of you were at some of the meetings we were at. And I did take a floating holiday at Thanksgiving, so I took that Friday. But you can go ahead and review that. Report on the Commissioner Superintendent Advisory Committee. So we had that the day before the State Education Conference. Primarily, Natasha left already, right? So primarily what he talked about with that for us, this is our second meeting. So the first one was in North Platte. Was really glad this one was in Omaha. I did not have to drive as far. So he kind of reviewed what we had talked about there. And then this was really focused on testing. So what they had prepared for us with the Office of Assessment was basically 6 or 7 different possible assessment models that we could look at. Because in 3 years, the contract that we have is basically up for the NSCAS test, and they have to decide if they want to stay on that same course, or if they want to go with a completely different vendor and reinvent the wheel, and what we would like to see from that. So what he promised us is that we're not going to change from this year to next year. We're not going to do something completely different, because it's really hard to get measurable, accurate, valid, reliable data when you're constantly shifting. So he promised us that whatever we said this year is going to be the same for next year, but then after that, he said this is when we have some choices. And so, the 28 people in the room, did a lot of small group work and things like that. And basically kind of, I feel like, advised, the Department of Education, we would like to see one of two things. Either like the option in the spring, if we only get one test date in the spring, the option for a possible retake if students do very poorly and it's an anomaly. It doesn't match what we've seen in the winter and the spring, so or the fall. So the possibility of a retake, or the possibility of kind of doing what I said, like talked about with the ACT, like I did really bad on the spring one. Clearly, I was making better progress in the winter. Maybe it was a bad day because I had that skill mastered, and now it looks like I messed up. So either the option to take one of those 3 test dates, the best for each student throughout the year, or have a possible retake. So that's the instructions that he's going to take with us, and Ryan Forther, who is the assessment chair, and Trudy, I forget her last name, and Derek Epinson. So these are all people that are heads of the Department of Education. And so this will become part of the RFP when they talk to other vendors and they try and develop the testing system for 25, 26, and beyond. So it still feels like we're known and we're being heard, and that we're valued for the work that we do in actual schools. And so it still feels good. It was a good meeting. And then lots of us had to shift and go to other meetings,
Yeah.
so we didn't get time to sit around and chit chat, but it was a good group. We meet again in January. Last week I had a meeting at ESU 2, which was, ESU 3, which was a joint meeting of the ESU 3 superintendents and the NASA Region 2. So we had NCSA and Mike Delaney and Kyle McGowan, where they're giving us a preview of what we can expect of the legislation, the legislative session coming up here. It's a short session, so there are fewer days to either get something done or to not get anything done, however you want to look at that. They anticipate, again, some time spent on discussion of the rules, of,
The actual
changing
rules of the
the
body,
actual
not-
rules of how we should be conducting ourselves, and
Yes.
which rules should be suspended and which rules should be modified or changed. Anyway, topics that they expect to see again and that they know are gaining some traction or are just going to come back. The epic tax, that's one that's, it was like intriguing and weird last year, and I don't think anybody thought it was going to go anywhere, but it's really gaining some ground now. And what the epic tax is, if you have not heard anything about that, you should just Google it when you go home. But it would eliminate essentially every tax in the state of Nebraska, wipe them out. Yay, Aaron's here.
Oh, boy.
Yay!
Let the record reflect.
I am
Reflect that
going
one
to-
person was excited with
Uh-huh.
the answer.
I gave 2 thumbs up and a smiley face.
Sorry.
So, anyway, that's just how weird the epic tax is. No, it eliminates every single tax in the state of Nebraska and basically starts again. So there's a petition to get this on a ballot, which would be voted for I think it's not next November, but the one after that. I'm not sure exactly how the timing of that would play out. However, it seems like people are being misled a little bit as they're signing that petition, being told that we can replace all of the funds generated by every other tax in the state of Nebraska with a 7-cent consumption tax. So, but projections from Open Sky Policy Institute tell us that it's going to be closer to 21 or 22%
Sales tax.
consumption tax on
Food,
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything.
Fuel.
So food, fuel, everything that you buy, everything that you sell and you have to collect, and
Tractors, cars, combines.
shoes, coats, clothes for your kids. Yeah, everything. And I believe on services too, right? So like electricity.
I think so,
and things
yeah.
like that too. So no, you might not have to pay your property tax, and you might not have to pay excise tax, and you might not have to pay
It's just gonna be something.
your luxury tax in Lincoln or Omaha, but everybody,
Well, it,
My chickens are everywhere.
but this could be a huge disruption for school funding.
It,
Yeah.
and so that,
Yeah.
especially
You know,
if they,
I mean,
if they
that's-
plan to replace it with a 7 cent. Who couldn't get behind that, right? That's what we pay in
Yeah.
sales tax now, right? So 7 cent doesn't sound that bad, but 22 sounds more accurate, but terrible. So anyway,
Yeah,
if,
that's gonna
if
be
you're
a big
approached by that, I
conversation.
mean, just do some research on it, and it's really just gaining popularity, and it would be, so not just for school funding, for any business that you own, for our roads department, because the money right now, like, we collect property taxes and they stay local. The village keeps what they, I mean, they levy and they collect, the school levies and they collect. You know, your fire departments or whatever, they levy and they collect. With this, the state would levy it on whatever, I mean, it's not levy, but it's just that consumption tax. You send everything to Lincoln, and they decide then who gets it too. So right now, everything, it just kind of takes away that local control
Sure.
as well, not just for school districts, but really for every taxing entity in
Yeah.
the state.
Mhm.
And right now, it doesn't, like our property taxes don't flow through Lincoln. They go to Washington County, and Washington County gives them to the
Right back
places
to-
where they
yeah.
went. Right, so this would all go to Lincoln, and then Lincoln would decide how much money they have and who got what, which is kind of scary too.
Keep an eye on that.
They think that firearms, like concealed carry firearms in schools, they think that will come back again. That one makes me nervous. Now, there's most school districts do not support that. There are some districts that are super remote and very sparse that worry that if something would happen and their sheriff's department is 40 miles away and the sheriff himself or the deputies are on the other side of the county, it could be an hour before they can get law enforcement to their school building. And by then, why even show up, right? So there's a couple of districts that are pretty sparse and remote that support this, but all in all, law enforcement has come out and saying, when we have to report to an incident like that, especially at a school, we don't want to have to just worry about what shooter has a weapon, but also what teacher or what custodian or what
Mhm.
volunteer might also have a concealed weapon. They just want to worry about what they know. Because
Right.
now that Nebraska does no longer require you to have a permit to conceal and carry, they really don't. No. And so if we start allowing that in schools. Parental involvement, last year, there were two different bills. One was just a mild modification to what we currently have, which would be acceptable. One was a complete and super expensive to districts revamp of what that would look like, far as it had to be like basically day of updates to lesson plans on websites, and if you vary anything at all from the lesson plan that you put on the website in third grade math, the teacher could be held, and the school could be held liable for for the teacher not teaching what was on their lesson plan for that day. And we know as teachers, you shift. Like, that didn't work. Now we're gonna have to try something else. We're gonna come back that tomorrow. So it really created, and there were like costs associated with creating a database and what system, like it had to be an access system that parents could get into and basically see minute by minute what was happening in classrooms. And so it was really, really expensive and really hard to, like, she knows, like, wrapping your brain around how you would approach that as a school was really difficult. And it really was based on the premise that whatever is happening in your school is wrong and it's terrible and you're hurting kids, which is not how we believe that we operate, and it's not what we believe public education does in Nebraska. So we expect that to come back. Taxation caps on the school formula. So we're expecting that soft cap to try and firm up a little bit. You know, the soft cap, like I said, this last year was 3%, but with the ability to access X amount based on the size of your school. We expect maybe they'll try and shore that up a little bit and firm up that soft cap. I'm not sure. And then the sports and spaces bill, they expect to come back again, which is that, for lack of a better word, transgender issues concerning that, and it was about participation and locker room use and things like that. So they expect that to come back again. And
Yeah.
do you want to go back to Aaron, or do you want me to just do the annual report that's in front of you real quick, and then we can
Yeah,
go back
let's
to
do
Aaron?
that. Let's do that.
So the last thing is the annual report, which you have in front of you. So this is a lot of data that you've actually heard about tonight because it's got finances in it and it's got state aid and property tax, but it's also got student performance and it's got enrollment information and things like that. So this is just a great bulletin that is put together annually and it compares, some of it compares this year to last year and some of it is just what we're doing this year and some of it compares, 4 years of data, student data on the back. So just great information to have. And again, we're statutorily required to create this every year. That's developed. We have a policy that does that.
Yeah.
But it's still a great way to get all of our really important information in one neat little bundle here. It will be posted and available on our website after you guys have a chance to review it tonight. So.
Dr. Lewis, I don't remember, I'm looking at the school finance receipt section.
Yeah.
Why 2021, 2022 didn't,
Yeah.
it was so far away from 100%. Can you-
Yeah, I don't remember why that was. I looked at it tonight. I'm wondering if it was a typo, to be honest with you.
Got it, I couldn't remember.
It's
that.
pretty consistent because that should say 64, it should be 72% there instead of 63%. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a typo because all we have is federal, state, or local property taxes. So I don't know if it was a typo last year and I didn't catch it or if it was a typo when putting it together this
Gotcha.
year. So I just gave, because I don't put this together myself, I give Mrs. Miller the information who sends it off to the service unit who actually creates this
Oh, wow.
document for us.
Got it.
So I just gave her this year's information and I did not proof that one. So I don't know if it was something that got copied wrong on last year's or if it was actually incorrect on last year's. But that's a good catch. I noticed that tonight when we were getting ready to make that. So was it down to?
It's something we serve over 90,000 meals.
Uh-huh. Food.
In a school like ours, a lot of food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I first joined the board, this was a black and white
I was
one
just
page.
thinking that.
Yeah, it's,
So
yeah,
much better than it used to be.
right. Yeah, so,
We got a nice picture on the front there of that new mural that,
Mhm.
that Kelly painted this summer. It's in the library. It's one of the many new murals that we have, so that was a neat one.
I assume you'll follow up on that suspected typo error in here. for me.
Yes, I will check and see if that was incorrect last year and get the right number
All
too,
right.
what that should be, so.
Okay, any questions about the report? No, then I'm gonna jump back to Aaron. Not so much for your report, Aaron, but we were discussing our, goals, district goals.
And I brought up the modular math with Metro.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if you could help me fill in some of the gaps. I was trying to tell them about it a little bit, but I don't know if I did it justice.
I should have sent you a text and warned you, huh? Yeah,
Yeah, we met with the dean of Metro's math and their lead teacher for that program. Basically, the idea behind it is to have a math pathway where kids can stay on track with college math and not have to go to, it started at Metro, not have to go to Metro and not get credit for the math class that they're in. So they did research on if we have kids come to us and they are not college ready with their math, then they go into this remedial math, basic college algebra. Well, they found that something like 79% of those students did not even finish their associate's degree. So that's where it started from, was that if they're behind right there, they're not gonna finish their 2 years.
Yeah.
So then this was their answer to, okay, what do we do? How do we get kind of ahead of this? How do we get into schools to encourage them to continue with their math skills? Those that maybe aren't four-year college bound, but may come to us to Metro and some close partnerships, and then they had connections with UNO and their math expectations. So that's kind of where it came from. So then there's really three different pathways for a kid. If you're not like for us, if you're on a four-year university pathway, you're at least algebra, geometry, algebra 2, and then like a pre-calc, that type of thing, or algebra 3. If we have students who maybe don't want to go, are on that path, then this path it would create like there's a business type math that they said that the schools that they're in kind of develop into either like this college preparatory math pathway or a business or technical math pathway. And they say a lot of the schools that they're in have that technical math pathway that they use. And I think that's where we kind of saw where maybe our kids would meet that pathway it's not a pathway, it's just terminology that I'm using, to stay up on their math skills, not be deficient, and have a pathway to then go to, we have a lot of kids who go to Metro, a lot of kids that go to Norfolk, to not delay on those math skills. So then what that looks like is that being taught by one of our teachers, but it is more of a self-paced class that utilizes like not Odyssey, but like an Imagine Learning type of platform that they have set up that allows for a little bit more individual pacing with it. So where we see and where we have to meet as we develop the master schedule for next year is the who that is. How does that rearrange maybe our teachers here? And then what does that look like for how many kids would be in there and that type of thing. So.
I think I did all right. I think I nailed most of them.
Yeah.
You're just
So,
better at telling.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough because we haven't lived it.
Yeah.
So then to hear them talk about it, and I point here they were sitting here doing that, then talking with Holly is, okay, what's our next steps with this piece of this opportunity? So, I guess for us, it's just figuring out what it looks like as far as teachers and kids. And ultimately, the Metro said they'd work with us on what that looks like as far as training and all that kind of stuff that a Metro Community College teacher has to go through. So,
Yeah.
And Miss Tierney is already teaching our dual enroll or concurrent enrolled classes, so there's a connection there. So when we rolled it out and talked to the math department just briefly, they're thinking how this can play out. So that's kind of where we're at.
Another opportunity.
Is Miss Tierney the only one
Right
that
now
has
she is.
both? Right now she is. So by adding this, do you think you're going to need to have another?
That's what
one?
we have to figure out, and that's what, I don't know what Metro puts out there for the public to hear, but they said they would, they would find a way to make it work, if it wasn't Miss T that was teaching.
And
Yep.
if I recall, it could be somebody else until you get to that last component of it where you need
Yeah.
a dual credit enrolled person. It could be anybody up until maybe that last module.
So that's just another opportunity to push the academic rigor in an area that maybe some students might take a less rigorous path and then be not deficient credit-wise, but just skills-wise haven't been kept up on their skills. So.
Thank you.
Maybe we can get the rest of this report now. Talking about
But doing the CPR certification again, so that's a great thing. I love that we do that. We have Heal Bride Youth Organizations, a leadership organization, so Maddie Martins will be representing us. There's our Hobie selection. Talk about the end of the semester. We've got a couple of different fundraiser things that we got going on. FBLA leading the Red Kettle again. Middle School Student Council did a fundraiser that was just a Jeans Day fundraiser and directly donated to Roots Wings, so a local organization there that works great with us. We like to think we work good with them. We had a staff no shave November. Mr. Hart was the winner, so you see Coach Hart. I think by the end of this week he's gonna let the rest of his grow out and kind of shave the goatee or something. So anyway, it was pretty fun.
You say he was the winner, but.
Yeah, he might have hit. You either win or
He's either
lose
winner
that
or
one.
loser.
Yeah. A couple of high school, elementary school connections we had. There's a, Heal Bride Youth Organizations, so Maddie Martins will be representing us. There's our Hobie selection. Talk about the end of the semester. We've got a couple of different fundraiser things that we got going on. FBLA leading the Red Kettle again. Middle School Student Council did a fundraiser that was a Jeans Day fundraiser and directly donated to Roots Wings, so a local organization there that works great with us. We like to think we work good with them. We had a staff no shave November. Mr. Hart was the winner, so Christian Yeager over on the top left side, who led a little lesson with second grade, I don't know, for Thanksgiving, and some of the different things that we do there. We're still doing the high school athletes, activities, all that kind of stuff on Friday mornings, greeting the students as they come in off the bus, elementary students. So wrestling did this last week, so I'd like to keep some of that stuff going, that we absolutely love that connection. And then we had, I'll get this wrong, maybe Dr. Lewis can help me. I think our third national anthem singer this year might
Is
just
it
be our
the third one
second.
this year? It's the second one this year, but it's the third or fourth in the calendar year.
Yeah. So we had cross country. So anyway, this was at state play production for the class D1 state play production. Kaylee Krause was on, represented us by singing the national anthem there, so I'm all for it. So yeah, so a lot of good things going into the semester. I think next board report, I will update you on last in the spring. I asked for you to be open to the idea of finals exemptions, so I'm going to update you on that and give you some numbers with that. It's something we believe is helping out with some of our attendance. We didn't have major concerns. We had a accounting error.
We
That
did,
was
and that's
put in,
corrected.
but-
I told them, that we
Yeah.
got that corrected in our data.
But we've got some good numbers at least as we go right now, and you deserve the update on that kind of stuff too. So I think when those are final here at the end of December, I'll update you in January on kind of what that looks like.
Based on conversations that I'm hearing between students in the hallways and students with administrators, they're taking it pretty seriously.
Yeah.
I mean,
They don't want to be
Students that I
here.
talk to.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
They don't even wanna
students
go
in
to-
my household take it pretty seriously.
I don't even want to go to the dentist.
Yeah.
yes,
It's like a half a day, Dan.
their teeth are falling out, they
Sorry.
can't see anymore, but
They're at school.
it's been a positive thing because that has been, it has been over the past couple of years, and COVID made it difficult,
Yeah.
when we told them you have to stay home for 21 days or 28 days or whatever, for a year or two, to say now it's really important that you come back to school again, and that was a big transition back to it.
Well, it's not like it's an Arlington problem, it was
No,
on
no, no.
national news this week.
Yeah, no,
So-
excessive absenteeism has been a problem for a lot of districts.
Our
This
parents
seems
are
to be-
helping us out to get, it's
Get
easy to go to an
doctors.
appointment and just kind of, okay, you walk out, you're thinking of, okay, where are we gonna stop to eat or whatever else, but
Now,
getting notes and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff and making sure, because it is, where before maybe we would take the whole day for an appointment and whatever, and just kind of, go shopping half the day, which
It's
still
fine,
happens,
yeah,
but,
yeah.
we get a lot more that they're very intentional about, okay, I gotta get back and get the note to us and all that, so it has helped, so anyway.
good stuff. Thanks, Mr. Frankston. So let me get back to, takes us into our committee reports. Finance committee, obviously, all of us over here sat through the audit. There's an action item later on that. Negotiations committee, we have met once with the AEA. What I want to do is at the end of the meeting, go into executive session and update the board and ask for some guidance on our bargaining. And professional development sharing, I know that we all attended, gosh, that was last month in November, wasn't it?
Oh, gosh,
We all
November was last
attended.
month, but it was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
It's
Yeah.
been
NASB
almost a
conference in
month.
Omaha.
Yeah.
It's been a bit. That was a good conference, good breakout sessions like always. I mean,
Yeah.
I always take something from that. Yeah.
It was nice to have everybody there too.
Yeah,
so
we
it's
had all the board members there. Dr. Lewis was there. We had some really good keynote speakers. I think everybody enjoyed it and got
Yeah.
something out of that as well. So they did a great job. I sometimes I think I don't look forward to going to that, but then I go and I remember why it's they do a good job, why it's important. Okay, so we get into unfinished business. We have one item there, 9.1, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to engage with NASB to facilitate the community meeting to be held January 29th. Okay, I've texted Marcia because we don't have a cost in here, and I think do we have that in the email in the outline she sent us?
I did not think that there was a cost in there either, but let me, hang on. Oh my gosh, this is what you're in.
And I think I can find it.
I can find it too, I just have to switch screens.
Along those lines, while we're looking for that, not to get ahead of ourselves, but one of my takeaways from reading the comments in the superintendent evaluation is that this board wants to move in the direction of doing some strategic planning within assumably within ASB. They're the best at it in our state. So I reached out to Marcia today and asked her, if this is the direction we want to go with some strategic planning, is this or can this community engagement portion be kind of the first step? She said, absolutely. The information that we collect in this community engagement meeting is obviously very relative to how we start strategic planning. So she knows that we may be going that direction. Obviously, it's not on our agenda tonight, but as she develops the questionnaire and the format for our meeting in January, she's doing that with that in mind, which I think is a great and healthy thing for our district, and look forward to getting into it.
They would do the surveying.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm gone. So I don't think there's any.
I've texted her and I don't have a answer back from her.
It will be under the 10,000 in my
Well
head, I'm
under,
thinking.
yeah.
So I'm thinking it's gonna be between that 1,500 and 2,000, but I'm not even sure if it'll be that much.
For just the community engagement meeting or for the whole strategic plan?
Community engagement, I think it's
Well,
under
'cause
$1,000 actually.
It probably is. I might have been thinking the entire strategic planning thing, which is like a free visit.
So,
I don't think there's cost.
we'll give Dr. Lewis latitude there, I think. I'll make a motion to, what are we doing here?
I'm probably going to,
Enter into an agreement with an ASB to facilitate the community engagement meeting to be held January 29th, 2024.
I'm trying to.
Second.
Hold on. We got nothing in there, so I gotta
Okay.
get something.
It was, enter into an agreement with an ASB to facilitate the community meeting held January 29th, 24. Jason seconded that motion. Okay.
You just want to do anything. I know, give that one. All right, I'm ready.
Okay, let's vote, please.
Kathy Klessner,
Yes.
Chase Craddock,
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel,
Yes?
Shannon Wilmot,
Yes.
Jason Up.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Motion carries. New business item 10.1, discuss and consider policy 5421, which is the use of restraints and seclusion on first reading.
So this is the one policy that came up as somehow missing out of our policy manual, although Jackie and I swear that we have read this in our own policy someplace. It was not in our policy manual, and we couldn't find anywhere the use of restraints and seclusion in that Rule 10 compliance visit that we had. So we just need to adopt, this is the law firm one written that falls into alignment with our other policies number-wise and things like that. So this is the legal use of restraints and seclusion when it comes to disciplining students. It's got a date of adoption on there. That was the district that sent it to me, or not the district, but the ESU that sent it to me is when they adopted that as well. So this is basic overview when you would use the use of some type of physical restraint. It's usually if the child is in danger of hurting himself or hurting others, something like that. And there's legal ways to do that. And there's certain circumstances when it should be written into a behavior plan, et cetera. It's all detailed in there. We'll get another month to read this into since it's a new policy for us. So
Okay.
It'll take some time and come back to that one.
Do you guys have people on staff that are trained in physical restraint?
We, I believe that Mrs. Sharp probably is, and I can't remember which the name of it is. At one point in time, I thought we had Mant, but I don't know if anyone has that now. CPI, I guess. Yeah. So I think we have somebody in that CPI, but we probably do need to train. We have not had a ton. Physical, and we do have a couple of them this year that are real business that get really aggressive. And so we have not had to restrain an awful lot, but we've had to seclude measures, and so, yeah. We need some good old staff development on that. So that'll be part of this. So.
No.
I was just saying, can we get the language changed to get rid of Beatrice?
Yeah, we absolutely can. I can't remember which one of them had sent it to me. And as I was reading through it, sometimes you get used to skimming over those things. But yes, that will say Arlington. In fact, I thought I had changed that. Maybe I forgot to hit save.
So we'll see this again next month.
Yeah, we'll see it again next month. Still say Arlington. Unless you decide, I mean, maybe.
Good eye, Chase.
Again, that's my opinion. Anyway, okay, that's what that one is. So we don't need to vote on that this month.
All right. Item 10.2 is discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve the 2022-2023 financial statements and audit. The five of us present at the board meeting tonight were there for the presentation. It was an hour-long presentation from our auditors with our new audit. Always a learning experience. Interesting if you're a numbers person. The summary was that I mean, really there were no concerning things in the audit. We mentioned all of our balances, a couple of our deficiencies, which are generally speaking similar every year. Maybe one opportunity to focus on for next year. I think it was a positive presentation. Any other board members have thoughts or comments?
I think you summed it up good.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2022-2023 financial statements and audit.
I will second.
Thank you, Chase and Cassie. It's been moved and seconded. Any more thoughts or discussion? No. Let's vote, please.
Chase Cargill,
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot, Jason Art,
Yes.
Nancy Flossen.
Yes.
All right, awesome. Motion carries. Item 10.3 is discuss, consider, and take necessary action to enter agreement with Ralston Public Schools for deaf education services.
So what I've attached for you to look at there is their full gamut of what they bill for everything. We do not utilize all of those services, although we have in the past, but, so what we will be, charged for is, the upside down page.
Okay.
It's the itinerant deaf education services in a resident district setting, so we've got a couple of students. I turned that upside down, not too bad. So anyway, we've got a couple that have hearing aids and have profound hearing loss, and she comes and works with them, and that's the state rate billing for that. And if they work all of the hours that they intend to work, 0.2 FTE per year, it'd be $18,970 billed out monthly during the school year. So
Why is it again that we go through Ralston?
I think they've really got the only
Is it just that's
program.
the?
Yeah, I think they've got the program. I don't know if we've got that service available to us at the service unit, because we've been using them for
Yeah, I knew that we
years
used
and
them
years.
for.
We used to have a resident student, we no longer have that, but we do. We've been using them for those profound hearing loss kids for quite some time, so.
Okay. Questions? Any more questions? No? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to enter an agreement with Ralston Public Schools for deaf education services.
I'll second.
Thanks, Chase and Cassie. It's moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion?
I just want to mention real quick
Please.
that they have been providing the services already. We just got the contract in the mail
Okay.
like 2 weeks ago. I think they had some changeover or something like that, and so it just got out to us, so.
Okay.
Just update on
Let's vote, please.
Matt O'Daniel.
Yes.
Shannon Moore. Yes. Chase Norton.
Yes.
Cassie Clausen.
Yes.
Chase Craig.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to item 10.4. Discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve an application for early retirement incentive program
Right.
for qualified employee.
So the qualified employee is the resignation that you approved earlier in the consent agenda. Mrs. Deb Washburn has applied for that. She's eligible. She was eligible last year, this year for the program that we offer, and that is a payout of $6,000 over 3 years. So they get $2,000 a year in September for the 3 years after their retirement begins on that. And it's that early retirement program to give them some incentive to take full advantage of their retirement benefits when they first become eligible for it.
Sure.
She's the only one who has applied at this point in time, and it is based on, like, we will approve up to 2 per year, not more than that. So, and she's got the application all filled out and it's ready to go. I did not attach it because it's got personal identifiable information on there that could be
Okay.
used to steal her identity, so we don't know.
Right.
We do not want
That's bad.
that. None of that, that would be bad, right?
Do we need to include her name in the motion?
Yes, I think we can go ahead and, yeah, we can put Ted Washburn on there.
Okay. Okay.
At the time when I was building it, I was trying to figure if I did, but yes, she's
Yeah.
the qualified individual. And I think that I was waiting to, when I built the agenda, to see if anybody else was going to take advantage, because I got the notice on December 1st that we were eligible. So
Okay.
I just wanted to go through that, but yeah, right now. it's Washburn.
Okay.
Mhm.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the application for early retirement incentive program for Mrs. Washburn.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any thoughts or discussion? No? Jim?
Shannon Moore. Chase Norton.
Yes.
Cassie Clausen.
Yes.
Chase Craig.
Yes.
Matt O'Daniel.
Yes. Very good. Motion carries. Item 10.5 is discuss and consider results of the superintendent evaluation. I have some of my notes here. I would say that the third year of using, just my impression as a board member, NASB's evaluation tool, I appreciate it more and more every year. It's really, it's a great tool to do these evaluations with, and now we're seeing historical data. Everybody's gotten a copy of this from year over year, right? The cumulative score for the evaluation, the cumulative average score was 5.26 for 2023, and that compares to 5.05 in 2022. So we've had an increase there. And then to the board, I think, we always talk about the most important part of these evaluations being the comments. And this time around, it was full of some really good comments. Suggestions, recommendations, as well as compliments. Obviously, the score indicates that it's a very positive review, and we're doing a lot of things right. Our superintendent's doing a lot of things right. And like any organization, we have some areas that we need to apply a little more focus to. And I think that what we saw and heard from the board comments in there was very consistent. Strategic planning, showed up in this. And so I think as a board, we'll need to get that process rolling. Obviously, our superintendent will help us with that. That'll be a good tool for our district going forward in the future. Some facility things came up in there. That was kind of a consistent theme. I mean, I think there were a few things that happened last year that were pretty unforeseen, that maybe exposed where we need to change our processes a little bit and pay a little more attention, and that came up there too. So just really good evaluation by the board and a lot of input, a lot of feedback. I think it's a very useful document. You know, I can think of years past where there's little or no comments, and you know, what do you do with this? How do you move forward and improve things with this? Well, we certainly can with this one. That's my observations. I don't know if any of the other board members have thoughts or comments they want to add.
The executive summary, I think you maybe each got a copy of that in your email. I've attached it to the board meeting, so if you want that login, you can look at it, but it is a confidential document, so, so I'm not opening one on here tonight for you to look at, but you guys all have a copy because you contributed to it, so.
Well, I like it because it's simple.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like direct to the point.
Yeah, it's very efficient at getting good information into the evaluation that we can use and build on going forward. So
Having been on here long enough to do both,
yeah,
this is so much better.
right.
It's just so much better.
It's better for me too, so.
Yeah, and it prompts you to like think about what your comments are going to be, like it gives us suggestions and like helps you kind of craft your thoughts, and I appreciate that we get emailed at least twice a day to remind us to do it. I intentionally waited for right before Thanksgiving when I had the day off, and I felt so pressured.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it was good.
I got a lot of emails as well. So.
yeah. I warned you.
Do it, I promise I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I did mine right away.
Yeah.
I'm on
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, I think it was a very good process here, and thanks everybody for taking it, you know, as serious as it deserves to be taken. So we don't need any action here to adopt this or receive this, do we?
No, it just goes in my personnel file.
Okay, so this will be placed in the personnel file. Obviously, everything here is personal and confidential information. I had some copies here if we needed them. I don't think we're going to. I'll give them to you when we're done. And you
Because
guys
everyone
can,
else has it in their email. So.
yeah, recycle them or whatever. Okay, that's the last item on our agenda. I do want to go into executive session for a little bit. But before we do that, let's take a bathroom break and get these guys signed. Can we do that, Dr. Lewis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beans wouldn't mind waiting for hours.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get that going, and when we make the motion for executive session, that's when I'll end the live stream.
Okay, yeah. Yep. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. First one there. There's still a lot of food in here too, if anybody wants more, I think that. Jared, yeah, Jim brought some food, it's really good.
Well, they actually do need to vote. And I'll put that.
What do you wait till the last minute?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's an hour and 25, you guys looked out.
Yeah, I mean, really.
I didn't go
Good
to it,
words.
then I heard it was like forever. I'm glad I didn't go to it.
Yes. Why not, can I email you like the summary?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, because it's like, there's like 7 different areas.
Okay. Yeah.
There's several questions for each area. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's always something that you find, right?
Yeah, it's like your garlic looks really good.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Perfect. All done, way to go. Bye, Kristen. Yeah, there you go. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Does anybody want any more food before I clean it up?
I might grab something.
Well, because how far away from Christmas? Only like just 2 weeks, right?
A month, 9 or 14 days, yeah, 2 weeks.
Good grief.
We don't have our Christmas tree up yet.
Oh, boy.
Because we just don't have time, we just are never home. And Quinn was like, it's almost Christmas, right? Let's just pretend, we know what it looks like. At this point, if we put it up, we just have to take it right back down.
You leave it up to your game.
And that's what she
I
said.
think that's probably bad.
We have 3 cats that just, just gonna end up.
I was overachieving and had them all ready. These though.
Oh, really? Like on purpose? It was Jason, somebody?
Well, yes.
Really?
Yeah, that's something.
Have a cup of coffee like Jason and I are doing. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
Before I get here.
Oh, I know, that's what I thought, but.
And then I get, what do you make for supper?
No.
Yes.
To make them ramen food.
Frozen pizza, insert it in oven, pull out 22 minutes.
You'd like to be reading for 3 days. I
Congrats with dinner.
No, but.
My response is, well, we have eggs.
Mm-hmm.
It's always my response, because we do, we have,
Mhm.
right now, I think we have 15 dozen.
Well, there's this little Mexican place.
Chicken won't come over there.
South.
Chickens are everywhere.
Yeah, but there's absolutely no way
Something.
Cheese.
one person
What are
can
you
do
doing,
it.
15 dozen eggs?
Well, we usually don't have.
Okay, there would be no way.
Because like, they go out
And
with people.
even Jen and I barely got one down by split.
This weekend we were gone so much, this last week, we were gone so much that we did like give them anybody.
So who's roping out there?
Cody and Mike Roberts.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's Mike here?
Do you wanna go into executive session?
Yeah, we have
Is it
to,
Tatum?
we'll vote and then
He and
I'll
the
stop the
Tatum?
legislature.
Yeah, a few of them.
Yeah, right?
Okay, so it is 8:30. And I want to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss collective bargaining. Need a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Cradaville.
I'm gonna be Jen here for a second.
Okay.
Made, second.
Do you want me to go stop that?
I will vote first. I'll vote, no.
Oh, okay.
Jason R.
Yep.
Cass Buster.
Yes.
Chase Cradwell.
Yes.
Brian is absent. Matt,
Yes.
Daniel, and Shannon Wilmot.
So motion carries. We are entering into executive session to discuss collective bargaining.